This has got to be the worst bass fishing video you've ever seen. Now, at the end of last season, I promised myself that this year I would make loads more time to go fishing, and I haven't. I've been rubbish. But today I've cleared my diary, I've grabbed my little steelhead rod, and I'm off to fish an estuary mouth for bass. Now, this estuary does hold a good head, I know from last year, holds a good head of school bass. So let's go give it a bash. Fingers crossed. The pack I'm using today is the Karrimor SF Modi 15. It's a 15 litre day pack from their Nordic range. For stuff like this, it's brilliant. It's probably my most versatile little pack, you know. One minute I'm using it for work stuff, city commutes, you know, laptop in the bag, all that kind of stuff. The next minute it's my camera bag. Great way to transport an SLR, or DSLR I should say. The next minute it's my fishing bag, or a bag to go out with the dogs, whatever. I love this pack. I'll drop a link in the description. So I've pretty much reached the mouth of the estuary, and this is where I'm going to fish. To this side here, I know is very rocky, very weedy. Just inside the estuary mouth, there's no weed, there's a bit of rock, but it should be clear to fish. How beautiful is this? You know, fishing with this as a backdrop, pretty awesome. Now, it is quite a high tide today. Now, normally I kind of I walk out onto these rocks in front of us, and I fish from there towards, you see that channel marker there. That channel marker is normally kind of 20 feet from where I stand fishing, so I'm going to have to fish slightly differently, but I think I'll still go with the old favourite lure to start with, and see what happens, maybe change in a little while. I don't really carry many lures. I kind of got a Frosty, which is an old favourite. These things are brilliant for calm conditions. It's a little bit choppy out there, so even though it's shallow, I'm going to go with this kind of Savage Gear 28 gram lure. Now, you'll see that all of mine, I take the treble hooks off and replace them with singles, and with those singles, if I can, I go barbless. If not, at the very least, I crush the barbs. I'm normally a catch and release fisherman, so I try and make it as easy as possible. If that means that I lose the odd fish because it slips off, I don't care, you know. I just love being out here. I'm not bothered about catching fish, that's just an added bonus. Now, when you're doing anything out of a backpack, fishing, hiking, whatever, get into the habit of every time you use something, you put it back into the place or into its place in the pack afterwards, and make sure that you always do your zips up, right? Become pedantic about doing up zips on a pack. That way you're less likely to lose kit and leave stuff behind. The Karrimor SF Modi 15 is covered in these laser cut molly panels, so the molly's been cut into the actual material of the pack, the outer material of the pack. It means that it's lighter weight. It's a really cool kind of discreet design, but still gives you the functionality of molly. Now, when I'm fishing on a roving trip like this, I'll usually connect my forceps to the outside, so slot them through a couple of loops and then clamp them down there. Because of what these things are designed for, that's not going to come off. Now, it's a high tide, but the tide's come over the shallows, so I'm fishing quite away from the deep channels. I'm using a heavy lure to get out there, but it means I've got to go for quite a fast retrieve to bring it back through the shallow water. The water is too lumpy to use a floating lure. It'd be perfect for fly fishing, but I don't have the gear with me. It'd be great for wading, but again, I don't have the right footwear, so I suppose I could. No, I don't have the right footwear, so I'm going to continue casting as far as I can using this heavy lure, and hopefully I'll get a bass. Now, the chances of me actually getting a bass on camera are very slim. The chances of me catching a bass are quite slim, so I'm going to turn the camera off and fish on, and if I get one, I'll take a picture at the very least, or I'll try and turn the camera on without knocking it into the drink. Catch you in a bit. I caught a lump of weed. It was bigger just now, honestly. I do like this type of fishing, you know, just absolute minimum gear. All I've got is me, a couple of lures, a rod, and I'm good to go. had a take almost as soon as it hit the water, but it's come off already. This tide really would be good for fly fishing for the bass. It's probably a touch windy, but you know, you could, as you know, you'd be casting into wind. Forget I just said all of that. It's rubbish. It's not a good day to fly fish for bass. You're casting into wind. Atrocious. This combination of a 28 gram lure and this light steelhead rod, it gives you a good cast and a fantastic feel for what's on the end of the line, which right now is nothing apart from the lure. Nuts. Ah. That was a good solid take, but it was just like half a second and it was gone. Doesn't matter, I enjoy fishing like this. I don't know if the sound's going to come out. This is rubbish. This could be just a whole video of me looking like I'm talking to the camera with no sound, because there is a bit of wind as well. I'm desperately trying to catch a fish. Not because I want one, just to prove that I can. I'm going to turn the camera off because I've decided that the camera is not bringing me any luck whatsoever. And when you're fishing like this, there is quite a lot of skill involved with learning the water and where the fish are likely to be. There's also a huge element of luck, and right now you guys are bringing me luck. Now when you're fishing and kind of this is your backdrop, kayakers and paddleboarders, does it really matter if you don't catch a fish? I mean, look at this, you know, got the Renault mountain range, beautiful estuary. Here's a boat coming in, so you can see that boat's going through the main channel, which is the better place to fish, but there's a lot of water between me and it, and I'm not really dressed for wading. I've kind of lost the tide here. The tide's going out quite quickly, the water's too shallow to fish, so I'm just going to try something different. Like I said, when I got here, my kind of go-to is I don't care if I don't catch a fish. This is about being out and having fun. You know, look at that scenery. Look at that scenery. How can I not be enjoying it, whether I catch a fish or not? Now what I'm going to try and do, which I've never done before, is fish kind of inside the mouth of the estuary on the back beach. So just strolling back a bit, and I'll give it a bash here. There. Very unprofessional way to spin the camera, but I can't work out how to do it otherwise. Ta-da! And back again. Right, let's give this a go. So the water there's just a little bit too shallow now to be able to cast and retrieve fast enough to keep the lure off the bottom. I really like fishing when it's kind of still waters, nice and calm, because then I get the floating lures out, and I love the sight of a bass taking a floating lure. Right, I'm gonna give it a bash, catch in a bit. And I thought I hooked a fish. I was getting excited because I thought, right, I've got something edible, and I pretty much have. But it's just a giant lump of seaweed. I think the tide's kind of well on its way out now. It's putting me into the weed all the time. So I might call it quits on the most unproductive bass fishing video ever, and go make a brew. But first, I'm going to rescue my lure, because like you pay 10 quid for these things. I'm not leaving it in a bunch of weed. And now I'm kind of in that, I need one more cast thing, you know, one more cast, that might be the one that gets the fish. I doubt it, but let's give it a bash. Just one more cast, one more cast. One more. Okay, this really is the last one. That's it, I'm done. Back to the car, phone's plugged in, and I'm good to go again. I did fish on for a bit longer, still caught nothing. I fished back along the beach. So much weed in the water that I was just catching lots and lots and lots of edible seaweed, but that's not what I was hoping for today. I was hoping for some bass, maybe a pollock, at the very least a mackerel. At the very least a mackerel, that's wrong. Mackerel are great fish. Now, as I was heading back along the beach, this guy was walking towards me, carrying all of his fishing stuff, you know, his rod and little box and stuff. And he said the question that we all ask each other, did you catch anything? I said, no, being truthful, I didn't catch anything. So I said no. And at that point he said, so what's the best way of fishing the beach? I'm like, right now, I can't tell you, but I can tell you definitely what's not working. I'm definitely an expert in what was not working today. Anyway, I'm going home. Fish finger time.